Hi everybody, it's Julie Lancaster of Lancaster Consulting, and I'm here today to talk with you about diversity and inclusion. And it's a fantastic place to be talking with you about that because I'm in Cape Town, South Africa, which is filled with diversity. And something that you may not know about South Africa is that there are 11 different national languages, and along with that comes a lot of difference, right? And that's what diversity is. It's about being different, and inclusion is obviously about us saying that that's okay. Not just okay in the tolerance kind of way, but actually celebrating diversity, recognizing the value of it. One thing that we know is that when we incorporate diversity into our workplaces and celebrate it, we have better innovation, we have more creativity, we get better results. Also, Southern Africa is near and dear to my heart, as my partner and I met here 20 years ago. So what I want you to do is think about what diversity is in the workplace. What kind of diversity do you see? What comes to mind for you? Maybe gender, communication style, personality style, race, ethnicity. Those last two are often what comes first in people's minds in terms of diversity. But also, here in South Africa, where there are so many different cultures, there's much that goes along with cultural diversity. In the States, it may be a bit more subtle, but I want you to watch for it too, because along with cultural diversity comes preference in food, dress, hairstyle, religion, expressiveness, personal space. You get the idea. There's a lot of difference. So what we want to start doing is thinking about how to really celebrate diversity in the workplace and be even more inclusive. So I have two things that I want you to try out today and continue to move forward with. And they both have to do with empathy. Empathy on paper is much easier said than done. So the next time, here's how I want to encourage you to do it. The next time somebody is doing something that is different from you and you have a judgment, first I want to recognize that you're human and you're going to have judgments, but I want you to get curious instead of judgmental. So for example, if I'm walking down the street and I see somebody throw some glitter on the ground, I might have that split-second judgment, and I don't really know how to get rid of that. And so I'm going to have that judgment. But then I'm going to catch myself and say, oh, there's my judgment. And then I'm going to get curious instead, meaning, I wonder why that person did that. I wonder what's going on for them right now so that they did that. I wonder what their values are. I wonder what the values of their family were. What were they taught? Perhaps it's a bit different from mine. So that's the first part. That's the inside job. Now the second part is an outside job. You get the idea that the first part is just your own conversation with your own self. The second part, being an outside job, is having conversation is okay. First though, develop rapport. It's a bit more sensitive and a bit more tricky to have those kinds of conversations if you have not yet developed some rapport, understanding, respect, and trust. So here's an example. My partner, he has some South African roots. His mother is South African, and when we met 20 years ago, apartheid, which is institutional racism, was just lifted. And so I asked him about it. I said, I am really curious to learn a little bit about what's it like? What are the attitudes in your family? What's it like for you to be here in South Africa? I'd be really curious just to hear your perspective. And of course we proceeded to have a great conversation and now have been together for 20 years. But he said something really poignant that stood out to me. He said, you know, no one's asked me about that. And I'm so glad that you did. And why I bring that up is because I want each of us to feel comfortable to have the conversations. Sometimes we feel like it's a bit just too sensitive and we're afraid that we are going to offend. But if we develop rapport first, we really get this childlike, almost curiosity, seeking to understand. That comes across as being non-judgmental because it is non-judgmental. And then we develop these deeper relationships where we can have real conversations. The last piece I want to leave you with is sometimes people have the idea that empathy and assertiveness are on opposite sides of the coin, meaning that you can't have both. But you can. Empathy is seeking to understand. Assertiveness is speaking up for your own needs as well as respecting somebody else's needs. So as using the example of somebody throwing litter on the ground, if it's really important to me, or they're walking in my community or something like that, and I don't want them to do that, I can have a conversation with them to say, for me, it might sound something like, hey, I don't know if you know that you dropped that, but if you wouldn't mind, there's a trash can right over there. We're trying to keep this community clean. Or something like that. That's just me thinking off the top of my head right in the moment. But it is okay to speak up and be assertive. So I encourage you to figure out how to celebrate diversity, to communicate about diversity, and include all the differences that you can find in your workplace. And to watch a little bit more or learn more, feel free to go on over to lancasterleadership.com. And thanks so much.